All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever had that feeling that you have your own unique energy, like a personal rhythm that's all yours? Well, that's not just a feeling. That's what we could call your cosmic signature. And today, we're going to go on a journey to decode that signature. We're going to unlock the fundamental rule of the universe that everything, and I mean everything, including you, is in a constant state of vibration. And the best part? We're going to learn how to consciously tune that frequency to create a life that feels more harmonious, more intentional. And who better to kick things off than the man himself, Nikola Tesla? You know, this wasn't just some throwaway line for him. This was the absolute core of his life's work. This one idea, it's the key that unlocks pretty much everything we're about to explore. So for the next few minutes, let's try to think like Tesla. So, first stop on our journey, the main event, the core principle itself. Let's talk about the universal hum. This idea that beneath the surface of our quiet, solid-looking world, everything is just buzzing with constant, dynamic motion.
This one sentence holds such a massive idea. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Now, this is an ancient Hermetic law, but what's so wild is how it perfectly mirrors what modern quantum physics is telling us. I mean, the chair you're sitting on, the device you're watching this on, even your own body, it all seems pretty solid, right? But if you could zoom into the atomic level, it's a whirlwind of energy. The only real difference between, say, a rock and a radio wave is its rate of vibration, its frequency. That's it.
And listen, this is not some new age concept. This is an ancient truth that has echoed through the centuries. Before we had quantum theory, you had Pythagoras in ancient Greece talking about the music of the spheres, this beautiful idea that the planets were humming in a perfect cosmic harmony. Fast forward a couple thousand years, and you have Nikola Tesla taking it from a beautiful idea to a practical reality, proving that the Earth itself could be made to resonate like a giant tuning fork. And this brings us to resonance, which is really where the magic happens. You already know this instinctively. Think about pushing a kid on a swing. You don't just shove it whenever, right? No, you time your pushes perfectly to match the swing's natural rhythm. And each gentle push, perfectly timed, adds to the energy until that swing is soaring higher and higher. That is resonance. It's about working with the natural frequency of something to amplify its power with almost no effort. And you can see here, the law of vibration isn't just flying solo. It's one of 7 interconnected Hermetic principles that all work together like a cosmic dance. Take the principle of rhythm, for example. Everything flows out and in. That tells us our own vibration is never stuck. It's always moving, like a tide. It just goes to show you, this is all one big, elegant, interconnected system. Okay, so if everything is just vibrating energy, what does that actually imply? Well, it means that this feeling of separation we have between me and you, between us and the world, it might just be an illusion. We might all be part of one single interconnected web of existence. And you know who else saw this? Albert Einstein. He called our sense of being an isolated individual an optical delusion. He got it. He understood that this feeling of being separate is the root cause of so much of our suffering. When we feel separate, we're in a state of fear and conflict. But when we manage to pierce through that veil, we find a reality that's so much more unified, so much more supportive. If you want to see a perfect blueprint for this, just look at nature. Right beneath our feet, in any old forest, there's this vast fungal network. Scientists call it the wood wide web. It's literally a biological internet that connects all the trees. Through it, they share nutrients. Older mother trees use it to feed struggling saplings. They even send out distress signals about pests to warn the whole community. A forest isn't just a bunch of individual trees. It's a single cooperating superorganism. And what's so cool is that modern science is finally catching up to this ancient wisdom. You have quantum entanglement, which shows that 2 linked particles can affect each other instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. And then there's systems theory, which proves that the whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. Science is now describing the exact same interconnected web that mystics have been talking about for thousands of years. Okay, so if oneness is our true nature, if we're all connected, then why do we feel so disconnected so much of the time? Well, to answer that, we have to turn our focus inward and look at the psychological static that creates this powerful illusion of separation. And the main culprit here is the ego, what some spiritual traditions call the I maker. Now, its job is to create our sense of being a separate self, and it's not a bad thing. We need it to function in the world. The problem starts when we forget it's just a tool, a role we're playing, and we start to believe we are this separate, limited self. That's when we cut ourselves off from our true interconnected nature. Then, the psychologist Carl Jung gave us a map for how this gets even deeper. He talked about the shadow, all the parts of ourselves that we deny or push down into the darkness. But when we refuse to acknowledge our own inner darkness, it doesn't just vanish, we project it outward. We start seeing all the anger, greed, and fear we deny in ourselves in other people. And that is the exact mechanism by which our own internal division becomes external conflict in the world. And man, you can see this play out on a massive scale throughout history. Just look at the fall of Rome. It wasn't just conquered from the outside, it crumbled from within because of corruption and internal division. The parts just stopped working for the whole. Now contrast that with the American Civil Rights Movement, which generated this immense power from a shared vibration of unity and purpose, accomplishing things that seemed absolutely impossible. Okay, so we've covered the principles, we've talked about the big ideas. Now for the most important part. How do we actually apply this? How do we go from just being passengers to becoming conscious conductors of our own energy?
Well, the instrument you have to work with is your own body. And the two main tuning knobs you have at your disposal are your heart and your brain. Let's look at how to use them.
So check this out. Your heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field, way stronger than the one from your brain. When you feel stressed or angry, that field becomes messy and chaotic. But, and this is the amazing part, when you consciously focus on positive feelings like gratitude or appreciation, your heart rhythm becomes smooth and orderly. This is a real physiological state called heart coherence. It literally synchronizes your entire body, melts away stress, and gives you incredible mental clarity. Now for the other tuning knob, your brain. Our thoughts create our feelings, which create our vibration, so we need a tool to manage those thoughts. Cognitive reframing is a super simple but powerful technique. It's just 3 steps. First, you catch the negative thought. Let's say it's "I'm a total failure." Then you check it. Is that really 100% true? Is there any evidence to the contrary? Finally, you change it to something more balanced and honest, like, okay, I made a mistake, but I can learn from this. See? It's about consciously choosing thoughts that actually serve you.
But look, if you want the single fastest, most effective way to elevate your vibration, it all comes down to one thing: gratitude. It is one of the highest frequency emotions we can possibly experience. And it doesn't take much. Seriously, just spending 5 minutes a day writing down a few things you're grateful for actively rewires your brain to scan for the positive. It's a tiny practice that can instantly shift your entire energetic state.
And if you ever doubt your ability to control your inner state, I want you to think of Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist who survived the horrors of the Nazi concentration camps, and he realized that even when literally everything is taken from you, there is one freedom that can never be touched: the freedom to choose your attitude. This is the ultimate proof that our internal vibration can be our own, no matter what's happening on the outside. Or look at Nelson Mandela. After 27 years in a brutal prison, he could have walked out vibrating with hatred and a desire for revenge. And who could have blamed him? But instead, he consciously chose a frequency of reconciliation and peace, a frequency so powerful it healed an entire nation. He knew that holding on to bitterness would just keep him and his country imprisoned. So, what both Frankl and Mandela mastered is a core Stoic principle called the dichotomy of control. It's actually incredibly simple. You focus your energy only on what you can actually control: your thoughts, your intentions, your responses. And you practice acceptance for everything you can't control. At the end of the day, your personal vibration is the one thing you always have complete control over. And all of this brings us to the final, and I think, most empowering takeaway. Your cosmic signature isn't some hidden destiny you have to go out and find. It is something you actively create and choose to broadcast in every single moment of your life. It's the sum total of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. You are the conductor of your own symphony. So as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this one question to reflect on. What frequency are you broadcasting today? Because the universe is interconnected, it's responsive, and believe me, it is always listening. So make your note a beautiful one.